Bonjour, bonsoir, dear friends, and welcome to JCB Live. Tonight, we're going to use our nose. We're going to use our sensory, all of them, with a very special friend, a man who was born in the very famous region of Grasse, who's experienced fragrance in his life since birth. He was actually made to be in the fragrance world, in the luxury world, and he built many great businesses. First and foremost, he was a special agent. And tonight, maybe we can extract a little bit about what he was doing at the border of France and Germany, or Germany West and Germany East. Then we'll ask him about fragrance, then we'll go into the world of fragrance at large, and then we'll get to discover his talented, unbelievable, successful entrepreneurial life. Dear friends, I'm very pleased to bring to all of you the charming, famous, talented, and one of the best nose in the world, Francois Duquesne.
So I have to open that to bonjour as well. I love how you say bonjour because there's so many ways to say bonjour. Say bonjour, 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 ça va, bonjour. You say bonjour like you mean it. Bonjour means good day. I wish you a good day. And the way you say bonjour is so unique. I love it.
So well, let's do it together. Bonjour, Francois Duquesne.
C'est parfait. So I have to open that because I don't want to leave you by yourself.
Hey, the normal circumstances of you opening one of those bottles typically is with a saber.
Of course. Yeah, so, I mean, I actually graduated in Reims, la École Supérieure de Commerce de Reims. And obviously you get pretty trained to drink champagne. Actually, one of my alumni today and one of the person who was in my class, she was a Tétinger, Brigitte Tétinger. She's in perfumery, by the way.
Yes.
Because,
you did it. You were wrestling with that bottle. I was worried it felt like your first time because you typically saber. So Francois, tell us how it is as a man to use your nose as a profession.
Wow. Well,
and you are right now, of course.
Yes, let me see. I think I can't explain why, but I guess my nose helped me all the time as a child as well. It was a way to sense things. There are people who are sensitive to the ear, the music, etc. There are people who are sensitive to what they see. You have people who are sensitive to what they taste. So, the famous five senses. For some reason, I always put my nose in everything. My parents kept it.
That's
I always put my nose in everything. Yeah, and I have a son that actually does the same right now. Is putting his nose in everything. So, for some reason, before opening a book, I smelled the book. And then, actually, I'm not a very strong reader. So, it was, I smelled the book and then don't necessarily read it, I smell it. So
you read it with a sense of smell.
Yeah, and I think when you grew up in a region like the south of France, which would be equivalent also to California, you're surrounded by amazing smells all year long. So you put your nose on the earth. When you harvest the mushrooms, you put your nose in the fields. Obviously, over there's flowers also growing. And what happened is I got hired from my friends who were either cultivating flowers or extracting perfumery to help them, seasonally to harvest the grapes. Actually, there is some grapes which is called the servant in the region where I grew up in Valbonne. It's basically a tradition to keep the grapes all during the winter and then serve them in February and actually market them. But also, all the harvest. So the May rose in May, which is probably the very first. The jasmine in July. The tuberose in August. And la violette de Tourette. So it was really without knowing that I would be actually do a career in this field. I was surrounded by that. And I loved it.
So that's what you think overall influenced you, or what really made you to want to be in the perfume world, in the fragrance industry?
I think it's a combination of two things. It's craftsmanship, which is always something that I love. Our neighbor was crafting wood furniture, and I was fascinated by that. And I think that craftsmanship is something very unique, very special. We can talk about for years, but it may save the world. This is what brings people dignity. This is where there is tradition. This is villages, cities, countries stay together because of craftsmanship. Look at India. It's all about that. So anyway, craftsmanship is something I experienced. It was a time still in the 70s where people were crafting. That's your world of wine. This is why I love your world of wine. It's about craftsmanship. And craftsmanship, it's people who put love and care in what they do. So that's as simple as that. And I think in perfumery, you have people who put love and care in what they do. From the harvest, from the growing, all the way to the composition, and also to the distribution in some extent. So that's what took me there. The second thing is it's highly creative. I wanted to be either a music producer, because I had some friends who were playing bands, etc. So I think we are in the industry of culture.
Yes.
Une industrie culturelle, like we say in France. So it's beyond making just a product. You are fabricating emotions.
Yes.
We are fabricants, manufacturers of emotions. If a perfume doesn't do anything to you, if it leaves you indifferent, it's not a good perfume. My definition of a good perfume is the perfume that makes you feel something bad or wrong or whatever. It's the good perfume is the perfume that creates an emotion. So when you're in a business of selling emotions, crafting emotions, fabricating emotions, it's a very satisfying place to be. Not easy to manage in terms of how to reach profitability sometimes, because it's like the music industry. You have the major companies, and then you have the independents. And pretty rapidly, I choose to become an independent with the risk of being an independent. So when you're an independent producer in music or in movie, you launch a movie, it's a hit or miss. Even if you think you have like the next, maybe something, the timing was not right, the distribution was not right, something, it's less predictable, but I love it.
So as a fragrance producer that you are, how would you describe this wonderful JCB 21? Give us the analogy of how you would do it with a fragrance, because then we'll do it with a fragrance. So we want to see the pro at work with his nose, the most valuable asset that you have.
So do I start with the Viognier?
Perfect.
Okay. I haven't trained nothing. So I don't come from your field, but I've been a little initiated in some, oenology course, etc. And the first thing that they teach you is to smell way before drinking. It's always something that actually surprised me at the beginning. But the vigneron that welcomes you in his cave is like it's not about drinking my thing. Here is a place where you can, cracher after, and it's all about that and what's happening inside. And I loved it. I'm like, wow, what a great job these guys have. It's not about drinking. It's not about.
It's very true.
It's all about smelling it.
So, dear friends, we are, for all of you with us tonight, we're trying the Wattle Creek Viognier 2019 from Alexander Valley. So this is a very unique wine. We don't produce a lot of Viognier. This is this Rhone variety. And it's exciting because we're getting one of the most famous perfume nose in the world, telling us what he feels and what he scents on this very unique grape variety that we don't often taste, like Chardonnay or others that are very popular.
Yeah. Well, I apologize for not having the right wine glass for that. I realize it doesn't diffuse.
I think it's a great glass. The key is to have the nose. You have the nose.
Yes. Well, it's obviously immediately fresh. It's the kind of fresh and clean that the American people love in perfumery.
Fresh and clean, yes. Maison Coeur.
But
keep going. Do you smell lily? Do you smell lily in the valley?
Yes. So it does have the white flower cocktail. It does have the white flower cocktail.
Yep.
Actually, it's funny. We're in May, and definitely some lily, which is, by the way, impossible to extract in perfumery. So the most famous perfume of Christian Dior, Diorissimo, which was the very first perfume to actually describe the muguet, which is the lily of the valley.
And you know,
the complete reproduction.
As you know, it was one of our inspiration with Honoré Joséphine. As you know, this is, dear friends, Francois represents all our fragrance, and he's the king at it. We'll talk to you about it later. But this is inspired by Diorissimo, and as well, obviously, Orange Verte from Hermès. So the two are together, and when I taste this Viognier, it's funny.
I'm there
I
too.
have a similar concept.
I'm there too. It's the fresh and clean. It's the Eau Sauvage from Edmond Rudnitska, who also did Diorissimo. You are in this. So we can talk about two things. We can talk about the role of the perfumer, which is not to just extract the flower. The role of the perfumer is to actually reproduce the emotion of smelling the lily of the valley. And I think Diorissimo is fabulous. Marc-Antoine did a fabulous job with the Joséphine that you have. So I am right there, and it's a wine for right now.
And Francois, thank you so much for that. Give us your view of the role of the parfumeur, and as well, in addition, and maybe before that, explain to all our friends, which is similar to wine, but how do we extract flavor and aroma out of the ingredients? Because you're the expert of perfume, so everybody today has to learn about fragrance from the master himself.
So
two questions.
My son driving. Sorry about that. So, yes, basically the perfumer is to role is to translate into a smell a vision, or not a vision, more than a vision, a direction, an artistic direction that you provide. That's why when you work with your perfumers, when a couturier, a fashion maker, anyone works with a perfumer, the perfumer is going to be here to compose the song that you potentially have written, or you have the lyrics and he's going to put the words, or you have the words and he's going to put the lyric. It's between this and that, but this is a work of making a piece of music to your nose. Jean-Charles, you are a creative director. You have a song in mind. You want to create a song. You need someone who masters the music and someone who masters the words. You have a minimum of this. You may have the words, you may have the refrain, but you need the perfumer is the guy who is going to make it happen. He's going to write your song, put it together with the music. And then it's all about the quality of and this is where, so that's for the artistic part. And then comes the craftsmanship in place, and here comes the comparison with your world of making wine. It's about the quality of the ingredients. So you want to be surrounded by a perfumer who has access to the best ingredients, and who even goes beyond that. The difference between a parfumer, a chef, and a parfumer are the one who have access to the beautiful ingredients, but also who are willing to explore new ingredients. And that's what I love with what you did, because you challenge the perfumers to try to work with ingredients, but they're not used to working their palette. Ingredients are actually extracted from your vineyards, proprietary ingredients. So imagine working with someone who writes some music for you, and it's a new instrument that is actually experimented with your song. So with electronic, you have all type of new sounds, but in our field, these ingredients are very special, very rare, So we were talking about the lily of the valley. The lily of the valley, if you extract the lily of the valley and you put it in an alembic and you distill it and you smell it, it's going to smell something green that has nothing to do with the lily of the valley that you have in the perfume. So the perfumer is creating that story. So the same, it's really about experimenting. And a good perfumer is someone, obviously, who is capable to create an emotion, but is also to write a story that speaks to you, something that procures an emotion to you.
Absolutely. And for you, what your grandmother played as a role within that, because I know you have a lot of memories from the past, the role of your grandmother and memory to create so many great fragrance with l'Artisan Parfumeur, with today the Duquesne organization. Give us a little bit of how much of the past has influenced it and that memory itself.
I think it's, you just named it. It's not just for me. It's for everyone else in this world. Perfume is memory. So have you ever noticed the experience of smelling a perfume with different people, or just wearing your perfume? And there's people who are going to love it, and there's people who are going to hate it. We're going to be polite, not saying.
Yes.
And why is that? That there is no universality there. That, people either love it or indifferent to it, and people are. So I think it has definitely a lot to do with the last part of your brain, the cervelet, which is your memory. There's many things happen unconsciously in what you love and not, and you may have been surrounded as a kid there may be a memory that is a very pleasant memory, and that coincides with a smell that is also in this perfume. So, and vice versa. This is why perfume is culture. You may have experienced a trauma. Maybe someone was very aggressive with you, and this person was in the woods, and everything that is woody doesn't work. I make it simple, you know, but it works also with people who wear perfumes. And to come back to the grandma, I think everyone had someone to admire. For me, my grandma was truly admirative. She was American, you know. She was she was the daughter of Eugène Jacquet. Eugène Jacquet, who was French, négociant en vin, who moved in Chicago in 1896 to open a wine business to import French wine in America.
Oh,
And then came...
unbelievable.
Yeah,
I did not know.
I still have an archive with all his wine lists, etc., from 1910 or something. And here's what happened: Prohibition. You're a French entrepreneur and you're importing wine. What do you do? Well, back to France. So we moved back to France.
Then he imported fragrance. Maybe he got in the perfume business.
No, he actually, his story is actually amazing. He, during the World War, he collaborated with the Americans to give renseignements and etc. And he got caught by the Germans and he got assassinated by Nazis. Yeah. So, but it's so my grandmother came with this past. My grandmother came with this past of you know, and when you're a kid, you imagine everything. And her fragrance was Arpège de Lanvin, and that for me, Arpège de Lanvin was everything from that world. The roaring 20s that she experienced after her dad passed away. I mean, basically got assassinated. She revived and was part of this movement of women who were dancing Charleston, and she was dancing Charleston also even at 90. She was teaching me that, and so these are all, you know, things that connect with me positively, and this is why when I smell Arpège, which I had the privilege to manage Lanvin Parfum, like about 20
That's right.
years ago.
Amazing story from your grandmother, then you run the company. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the dots, for some reason, the dots connect.
Hey, on that note, talking about dots, do you believe in destiny, Francois?
That's a good question. I believe more than destiny, but maybe it works together. À la bonne étoile, like we say in France, there is a little star up there that takes care of you. So it may be the destiny, but it's more the good star that is with you. I think you can do a lot to... but there's not so many things that are happening like by chance. So, no. There's many things that are, in a way, written.
Planned for you.
But it's up to you to reveal it. It's a quest. It's a quest.
Yes.
It's a quest. It's not always conscious. I need those moments where I can hide and think about that. I'm glad you asked this question. It's a great philosophical question.
So, on that note, do you think you were meant to be in the fragrance world and to influence people with this subjective idea of smell?
I think I was meant to be in a business that procures emotion to people. So it can be very large. It could have been music, movie, any creation, but that I know deeply, fundamentally. It could have been actually in the wine business, because if you make someone happy opening a bottle of wine, it's great. I think I am in a great business, because if you are in the morning and your life is hard and whatever, but you apply your perfume, your favorite perfume, and that little second of joy, because you love, for some reason you love this perfume, because it triggers all the great memories, etc. Voila. And then you are in your world. Then I made my job, you know, that procuring that little moment of joy. And that's a satisfaction. And if you can make a living out of that, it's fabulous.
I agree. So tell us why everybody should wear fragrance and perfume, and why everybody should create the smell that they love the most. Tell us why it's so important.
Yes, everyone should wear perfume. Why? Why? Because it's your signature, actually. I mean, what do you remember for people? Honestly, I'm terrible with names. So when I meet people, I don't remember their names all the time. But I would remember what they were and what they smelled. So, you know, in France, we say, when you don't like someone, you say, I can smell this guy. Like, je peux pas le sentir. I can't smell it. It's a big deal, you know, I can't smell it. So, so what does that mean? It means, like, it's the importance of smelling great. So now, smelling great is not a dictatorship. I have to smell that kind of thing. Smelling great is what makes you feel yourself smelling good. And it's part of being confident. The same happens in fashion. You know, you wear something, I can tell you wear this fabulous, vest in French, and you feel good in it. It's you, okay? So the same is with perfumery. I think if you have the luck to find a perfume that fits you, that brings a level of confidence in your life just by showing up. And when you have the compliment of people saying, oh, you smell so good, what is that? That's also a sign of distinction in a way.
So you smell someone before even you remember the name. So can you say to yourself, oh, I've met Jen, I remember how she smells. I've met Celeste, I remember how she smells. Because I'm the same as you are.
Absolutely.
Smell is the most important for me
Absolutely.
of all the senses.
And you know what is amazing is the smell of the hair. That's why applying perfume in the air is not wrong at all. And there's actually a big trend in our industry right now to do hair mist. I think.
How do you do that yourself?
If you ask me what would I remember from what Jen
Hey,
said?
Francois, how do you put your fragrance in your hair? How do you do that? Have to tease me.
That was a good one. But
yeah, tell us about fragrance for the hair. I agree with you.
No, but I think especially for women,
in the old days,
personally, I'm very attracted to women who smell, where the smell of the hair is it's amazing. Yeah. So yes, we all smell, and from the hair as well, and I think it's a very special thing. Yeah.
So teach us how to analyze a fragrance. So maybe you take one of the fragrance you have in your hand. Show us how you do it, because you're the expert. You taste fragrance every day. You represent thousands of fragrance. You've created yourself so many. Give all our friends with us tonight and in the world the technique to taste.
Yes. Well, first of all, a fragrance is not just a scent, it's also where it's bottled. And that is something that very similar to your world, Jean-Charles. you know, you like to look at the label and who made it. Is it rempli au château, etc. So you have also this kind of elements, and I know you put lot of very special attention in your perfumes, and the curiosity starts with the bottle, how it feels in the hand. So that's a very important component to the industry.
I'm with you.
Which is not just the smell, but also what the perfume tells. And when I see this fragrance, for instance, I'm like, wow, this stands out. Excuse me, have you seen a cap like this? That heavy, by the way? So unusual. And then what is that?
Thank you.
Like in the middle, you know, this pearl, is that, oh, it could be grapes. And, you know, so you awake the curiosity of someone already by the bottle. I think the bottle matters a lot. A lot. So now...
So you taste with your eyes first. You analyze it and you say, ooh, looks very cool. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. It's also a trigger of purchase. I mean, obviously, when you enter a perfumery or a department store, what stands out is also, you know, how the bottle looks like. I mean, I'm not talking about the mass market of fragrance, but like there are fragrances like 1 million from Paco Rabanne. This is a gold bar. I mean, it cannot tell more. You know, people buy the gold bar and without even trying the perfume. So here I'm in a world where the perfume matters, you know. But it's good to if the perfume is in a beautiful bottle, that makes a difference.
Yes, I agree. It adds a lot.
So now with the smell, I like to spray it.
Okay, so let's do it together.
So I like to spray it here on my wrist. Why? Here, right there.
And why?
Because you have a vein. You have actually a very, very serious vein here. Mm-hmm. So much blood going through this.
Yeah.
And this is warm. So this is going to reveal the warmth that is there. Is going to reveal the perfume. Then also I find it extremely convenient for smelling that.
Yeah.
I mean, people say you have to put it here behind your ear. Fine. How are you going to smell yourself? I mentioned earlier the importance of smelling yourself. It's like the perfume. It's not just like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, if you have your lover, it's going to come behind and smell behind your ears. That's fine. But it's for you primarily. So that's why I primarily love to have it here on the wrist. For some reason, there is also, for us men, we have some hair. And again, the connection of perfume with hair is, I think, transcended. It gives some animality to the product.
So I'll put it on the other side too. Up.
Yes. And so if you have it around there, it's great. If you wear a watch, leather watches, leather bracelets absorb the scent. So here I don't have a leather bracelet, but I love to actually wear a watch with leather bracelet. I love to put also the fragrance on the leather bracelet itself. And the combination of your animalic scent, because when you smell your leather bracelet, it smells leather, it smells your sweat, and it smells also the fragrance. The combination of the three makes it hyper-personal. It's personal.
Yeah.
So what you smell here is your very own personal signature. Now you have someone coming and say, hey, smell my wrist. It's going to smell something different than you. Because perfume reveals, and the nose is built also with, like I said, connection to memories.
Yes.
But also some people are going to smell something different. And your skin, depending on your skin type, we reveal the smell differently. So, for instance, I mean, it's a virtual event right now, but I'd love to be physically with you and smell your wrist
Yeah.
from the same perfume that we spread and compare if it's the same. And I bet it's not going to be the same because your skin may be a little more, how do you call it?
Dry or
Dry or wet or etc. And then it also depends on where we live. Okay, we're in California, it's pretty dry right now, but if you taste that in Miami, in Florida, you will have, it will be moist. And there may be also air conditioning in the house, which will have also, so perfume is unique actually. Even if it's in a bottle meant for every day and everyone, it will be unique here in this place. And that's what I love.
And what is, finally, what is your analytical matrix when you smell a fragrance? What do you go for?
So
First, second, third, fourth, five. As you will then describe the Sauvignon Blanc for us.
yes. Well, the classic way to describe a fragrance is the top, the bottom, the top, the heart, and the bottom. So
That's right.
you have a top note, which I would compare to the smell of it, you know, the fresh and clean. The top note has all the ingredients in a fragrance formula that actually disappear from the nose perception after sometimes minutes or an hour. It's the first thing that you get when you get a fragrance. You're like, wow.
That's right.
And it takes you, and actually the reaction of many people is to say, oh wow, it's licorice. Yeah, because they actually even have the smell of the alcohol. But we blend it, you know, we blend perfume in alcohol. So everything, it's the top. The top notes in perfumery are usually, maybe like you have in the wine, you always start, oh, I have like red berries, etc. So we have the same kind of, we have all the top notes that are fruity, agrumes, orange, citrus. This is what really comes out first. Then you have the heart notes. Not the cœur.
That's the key.
The heart.
Let's go to the heart.
The heart notes, they stay, and the heart notes are the one who make you comfortable. Yeah, that's the heart. So in your perfume that I have here, the heart is iris. Iris is all the way, but the heart is iris. And that's what I love with this fragrance, because the iris extract that you have here is an iris pallida. This is a root. This is not the flower of the iris, this is the root. And you smell the root. And there's an accord also with the ambrette, which is a little seed that you have here. That is, so the heart notes are florals and, ingredients iconic in the perfumery, like the patchouli, the iris, which are the patchouli, which is an extraction of it's a green plant, that grows in the bottom. And so that's the heart. And then comes the bottom, and the bottom, that is what will stay tomorrow if I don't take a shower tonight. When I wake up in the morning and there's still this perfume here, it's not going to be the citrus at the start. It's not going to be the rose in the middle. It's going to be what stayed. And what stayed is an incense, potentially, musk. It's a wood, a sandalwood, which you have. So this is really things that stay over 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. This is what stays in your clothes. This is what stays when you're in a room and there's a fireplace and it's in the winter, and then you go out next day out and you smell the fireplace on your clothes that you had in front of the fireplace. This is when we were younger and we were going in bars and restaurants in Paris and people were smoking in restaurants, and you come back at home and your textile all smell the smell of the cigarette even the day after. These are the bottom notes. Yeah,
Yes.
these are the bottom notes. Obviously more agreeable than cold tobacco from the night before, obviously. But in perfumery.
So Francois, can fragrance actually age?
No.
Like wine, of course.
No, because...
And maybe improve with time.
No, it's not meant to. It will at one point, because especially if you have a lot of naturals, they will break. But we have a process of really freezing the formula when we bottle it.
Yes.
To actually stabilize it. So a good made fragrance, a fragrance that is properly made, doesn't age. It would be an interesting experience to say, okay, I put it in here and then it evolves without the industrial process, but then it would be just like a bad beer or something like that. Or vinegar, you know. So I'm not sure. I mean, it would be an interesting field to explore if someone can make a perfume that ages. Maybe only winemakers have the know-how and the expertise to make it happen. That would be really an experience to do that. I know people who age, who actually macerate their because you have to give the fragrance a period of maceration. That's important. Like about 1 month for a good perfume. So all the naturals really settle. But once it's macerated, when they get out of the container, you filter it and then you freeze it and you bottle it while you freeze it. So it's not supposed to age. Sorry.
That's right. Hey, Francois, as we serve the next wine, the Sauvignon Blanc, so we'd love for you to tell us what you think of this amazing wine as well. And we purposely, for the freshness of the spring, this is today the 17th of May. We wanted to bring some very fresh and very in the forest aroma, in the ocean aroma, in the gardens aroma.
Yes, you are there. So, very different from...
Tell us what you think
but
as
not
a
clean.
fresh.
It's funny because the Viognier was fresh and clean. This is fresh but not clean. You have something that's not clean in there. Almost woody. Interesting. Flower.
Is it honeysuckle?
Yes. 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 You've got it. I couldn't tell. And honeysuckle, yeah.
Francois, as you think about the wine, give everyone the classification, if you don't mind, of how fragrance work from eau de toilette to eau de parfum to essence de parfum, etc. Give the percentage so everybody who shops around, because what we're doing together with the JCB fragrance is really the top of the top. I would love for people to understand the hierarchy of the world of fragrance, which obviously you help define.
Yeah, so it's all about the concentration in the alcohol. So we talk in percentage of essential oils mixed with the alcohol. The lightest concentration is, between 2 and 5. This would be an eau de cologne or an aftershave.
Which is here. So here we are on the eau de cologne side,
Yes.
dear friends, which is Honoré Joséphine. This was the goal, is to really create that lighter,
Yes.
fragrance that is really what you find in the forest, in the grass, in the garden, fresh and easy.
Yes, so the eau de cologne, although you have a trend today to do eau de cologne concentré and very actually more concentration, but what we would call eau de cologne in a place, it is a light concentration. It's usually fresh and clean fragrances. It's also called an aftershave, and because this is what men actually started to wear. If we go back to history of perfumery, in the 19th century until the beginning, the middle of the 20th century, it was a very common thing for men and women to wear a perfume. Actually, we didn't say there was a fragrance for men and there was a fragrance for women. We said
That's
there's
right.
a fragrance house called Guerlain, and it made this fragrance, and it's for everyone, for men as well as women. So then came marketing in the 50s, and they started to actually introduce fragrance for men. Because they said, we'd like to have more men wearing fragrance. So, okay, let's create the concept of fragrance for men. And since men are shaving, let's call it an aftershave. And I remember when I was starting to wear fragrance in the 80s, I started to actually buy aftershave. They were called aftershave, but what it is just the perfume with a concentration between 3 and 5. And when you think about it, I was putting it on my skin. It was so irritating. It's terrible, actually, to put like just after shaving, But it was called aftershave, but it's nothing to do with an aftershave. Actually, the best aftershave is a moisturizer. It's not like to apply a fragrance like that.
True.
So, but it was about the man, I'm a man, So it was more marketing thing, with Fabergé commercials, etc. So bottom line in perfumery, it is a low concentration. Then you have the eau de toilette. Eau de toilette is what is concentration between 5 and 10%, I would say, usually. An eau de toilette is like a perfume, but after a period of 6 hours or 10 hours or a day, it will kind of be gone. You have the bottom notes that I mentioned earlier that will stay, but it's what it is. And then you have eau de parfum. Eau de parfum, you will have a concentration higher than
There
10,
we are.
exactly, from 10 to all the way to 20. And this is the perfume with character. This is the perfume that stays. It's
The top of the top, the Grand Reserve, as we
La
call
Grande
it.
Reserve. Yes, it's a Grand Cru in a way. It's a higher concentration. It's for people who like it strong, it's people who like it to stay. Although you can have eau de toilette that stay long, because it depends very much on the ingredients that you have in the fragrance, not just on the concentration. So that's why you can have actually 8% concentration with a very strong lasting, if you have like a strong wood in there, for instance. So then you have, after the eau de parfum, is the extrait de parfum. Extrait de parfum, you get closer to actually the actual oil itself. This is where you apply it also differently. It doesn't spray, obviously, because it's oily. And this is where you can apply it like with parsimony here and there, because it's going to be a very, very strong concentration of perfume.
And that's what we do with Baccarat,
Yes.
the very unique and essential, So this is really fun to be able to gradually, for everyone, understand what is the level you like the most to wear, and why should everyone wear fragrance every day?
Well, I like
And go to bed with fragrance.
I like the fresh and clean of the eau de cologne in the
Yes.
morning, definitely. I think you have a perfume. You can wear different perfume in a day for a different occasion. So that's why I encourage people, and this is what you do, to do collections. This is not one perfume. This is like you want to have plenty of different perfumes. So personally, in the morning, I'm in the mood for cologne. I like a fresh and clean eau sauvage when I wake up. That's perfect. The day is bright, the sun is shining. I don't want to overpower everyone around me. I just want to have something that makes me feel good, that is sunny, and yeah. And then, when it gets serious, you're invited for a dinner. Yes, you're going to dress like you are going to dress, and you are going to dress with an eau de parfum.
So you don't undress when you go to dinner? You do to those kind of dinners where you put more clothes? I thought you went to those dinners where you put less clothes.
Well, but it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with the clothes. It has to do with the
Oh,
do you
good.
want to smell good? Do you want to seduce?
Okay.
It's about seduce. I mean, it's all about the occasion. So
Yes, of course.
a date, a dinner with friends. I mean, this is all like I leave it to everyone's imagination. But this is where you can impress with the fragrance. And if you go beyond that, in the evening, you go out, you go dancing, you're going to be sweating. That's even more important. What is going to mix with your sweat, And that can only be an eau de parfum that has a good bottom note, and it becomes animalic. It becomes sexy.
Ooh, what a menagerie. I love it. So what you're suggesting is actually 3 fragrance, 3 occasions. The morning, the evening for dinner, and the after party. I love this idea of really, making sure throughout the day we change fragrance. And this is how I am. I do that a lot. I change my shirts. I would change the fragrance depending on the daylights or the evening lights or the after lights. So I'm with you so much. Now, Francois, you've been a huge entrepreneur. You've run some amazing fragrance brands. And we did not go as much into detail, but you gave us such a great outline of what fragrance is. What is now your dream after all those achievements in the fragrance business? What's your dream?
My dream is that people in general start to discover, get curious about perfume, and also by independent perfume houses. You may have experienced that in some industries, like the beer industry.
Yes.
Where, where I remember when I was going to a supermarket 20 years ago, you had the choice between Bud and Coors, and that was it. Now you go to a supermarket and you have the choice between, you have Bud and Coors, but you have plenty of local American IPAs from everywhere, and especially here in San Diego where we are, it's like 365 local breweries. So, I think perfumery has become something that was like for the 10 large companies that dominate 95% of the market, and there was not so much space for independence.
Yeah.
And you actually have some independents that started. I was at the helm of an independent house called l'Artisan Perfumer, and we got taken over by a large group because this is like what's coming. And this is probably what's happening in the beer industry. These little local breweries that became successful are taken over by Anheuser-Busch, etc., etc. So this movement is happening in perfumery now, but it's only at its early beginnings. So we are a bunch of entrepreneurs in that field. And my dream is that independent perfumery takes over and takes shelf space in department stores. And we will remember that there was, the Chanel counter, the Dior counter, the Gucci counter, etc. But now there is also this artisan here, this independent here and there and there. It's happening. I can feel it's happening.
This is a great dream, but Francois, this is what you are doing with the wonderful Maison Duquesne house. You are changing yourself in the United States. I want everybody to know Francois created this amazing company where he represents as well as create his own fragrance. And that's what you're doing with the Neiman Marcus, the Bergdorf Goodman, and all those big phenomenal stores and independent stores. You're really bringing that to the world, aren't you?
Yeah, so we're going to another level now where we are going to incubate and actually produce locally in California, like with the same quality standards as made in France. So many perfumes are okay, it's made in France, so that must be good. It's kind of like this. And there is a reason for it. I mentioned earlier the craftsmanship. There's a lot of people that put love and care. They have also the best source of ingredients, etc. It's like in a restaurant. If the chef is French, okay, that must be nice. Okay. So, but I realized that there is a demand in America and in California for facilities that can create, that can manufacture with quality standards made in France. So that's probably what happened in your industry 100 years ago when Europeans started to arrive in California and started some winery bring from know-how from Europe how to craft. And now I guess Europe has to learn from California. I mean, it's kind of vice versa. Today, I feel like we're in a situation where with the rise of the independent brands, the production site, America can be a good one and recognized one for luxury fragrances.
Well, that's exciting to hear. That's a great dream, and I think you're on your way to achieving it. So congratulations, Francois. Very, very exciting. Frenchmen, dear friends, coming to the United States and changing the fragrance world. Hey, Francois, tell us briefly about this great article and book you were part of writing and this wonderful vision you have in Le Nez and others.
Well, Le Nez well, I think that, yes, we are distributing in the USA publications which come from a group in Paris that are specialized in ingredients in perfumery and how perfumery is made, etc. It's called Nez Magazine. And I collaborated with them
the best
from the start because I believe that education is part of and I think that's very much the same in your industry. Once you get into enology course, once you get into introduction of one, once you have the opportunity to visit vineyard, then you read books about wineries, and then you become an expert. And I think in perfumery, we've been very much brainwashed by the brands. Ocean, it's gift of purchase. Hey, it's this brand from this fashion designer. But did we talk about how it's made? Who is behind? Who put love and care, like I mentioned earlier, into that? Who are these people? And I think discovering independent perfumery is also getting educated about perfumery. It's also one thing that our world was not, our world of perfumery was very secretive. You couldn't meet a perfumer. A perfumer was in his ivory tower creating perfumes. His name was not even revealed. So now you're going to a time where people want to see who is behind the coulisses, who is there. And I think this magazine exactly shows that, and I think it's part of the democratization in a way. There's no secret. You know, we make beautiful things, but there's no secret. There's know-how, there's expertise, and you have to learn, obviously, years to get in there, but it's accessible.
So, Francois, I want to make sure, you know, that everybody knows about this magazine. I get it and buy it, but if there's a subscription, I should do it too, because I love the magazine, and you contribute to it. You're a great writer. So thank you for bringing it to. I love it. The lips.
So that's the latest edition. Talking from the mouth to the nose, and it's talking exactly about what we discussed tonight. What's the connection in the brain and more. You know, that's the latest edition. Yes.
Well, make sure I get it, Francois, and make sure you send us a subscription, because we are
the one you mentioned.
Francois, dear friend,
as well. Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. I love
this. This is an introduction to that. This is basically the big book of perfumery, and it really explains how everything is made, from the extraction all the way to the distribution, and how the pricing structure is done. Yeah, it's very educational.
And Francois wrote a few chapters, dear friends. So we'll make those books available tonight and after our show, so you can read Francois and breathe Francois. And with us, you know, because we work very closely together, Francois manages all the distribution and the websites and all those things of our JCB fragrance. So any question you have, just send them to Francois as well. He's the expert. Now, Francois, as we have our last toast together, I would like you, if you can and if you wish, in your own style, send a big message to all our friends around the world, maybe about you, about Maison Duquesne, or about fragrance, as the big message after 15 months of being enclosed in our home. What would be your big message? It doesn't have just to be about hope. It could be about fragrance too.
Yes. Wow. Get together. It may sound very basic, but social interaction is essential for our mental health and for everything we do. I personally enrich myself from interacting with people. So we're in a field where we need to smell and taste and share, and so it's essential that we get back together again. That's why if we have to all get vaccinated to get back together, then let's go for it. Let's travel again. Our world has become global, and we have so much opportunity to visit places and to enrich ourselves from different culture, etc. Let's really keep doing that. Let's not become protectionist. Let's not stay close in our home and be scared from the neighbors and the neighboring countries and the other strangers. Let's keep that openness, that maybe a naive global thinker, but I think we created a world after Second World War that has. I read statistics recently. This is the most peaceful time. There are conflicts in the world. Obviously, there are some wars, but there has never been as less war as it is like even today before the pandemic. So let's not. I'm not scared, but I'm worried. I'm worried that, like in the 30s in Europe, we become protectionist. We're scared of the other. We're intolerant with other culture, religion, etc. And then we start to destroy each other. So I'm from a generation that was born in a peaceful time, at least in the Occidental world. And let's get together to keep that.
I love it. Well, Francois, I want to thank you so much for spending this great hour together. This was a great insight in the world of perfume and fragrance and how we analyze it, how it's made, and obviously the categories of it and why you got into it, and you're great. I would add to your statement, get together and smell good, for God's sake. Because if you come close to me, you'd better smell good. Yes. So Francois, to a great time together that we just spent, and to very soon seeing you in France and seeing you in Napa Valley and having a great time together. Yeah. So maybe for the first time I should taste the fragrance.
Well, it may be a little bitter because, you know, we add some bitter to avoid that kind of drinking habit.
Exactly. So I'll go there.
Yeah. So,
hey, all the best, Francois. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for this tribune.